But I'm saying, like, I want to give my dad some sort of fragrance, you know? I want to go to Sephora and pick and choose. What? Right now,
Yeah.
my life is, like, up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Oh my goodness, darlings, you thought the worst thing that happened to our beloved Wendy Williams was being locked up in what she calls a luxury prison? Well, honey, buckle up because you are in for the shock of your life. The tea I'm about to spill is scalding hot. Her ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, and those sneaky production team members were keeping her medicated just enough to make sure she showed up to work. And before you ask, yes, we're talking about literally poisoning her. And guess what? That backstabbing Sharina Hudson knew all about it. There's some absolutely cold-blooded nastiness that went down with Wendy that I don't think any of us are truly prepared for. But here's the silver lining. Our girl Wendy is done playing games and she's ready to take back her power. Now, I'm sure you've noticed that in several recent interviews, Wendy has been vocal about wanting to regain control over her finances and decisions, which has everyone talking about her situation. Cast your minds back to 2022, darlings. That's when Wendy Williams was placed under guardianship after Wells Fargo, yes, her own bank, had the audacity to claim she was an incapacitated person and supposedly being targeted for financial exploitation. Well, our girl wasn't having any of that. She clapped back, accusing both the bank and her former financial advisor, Lori Schiller, of conspiring to mismanage her money.
Well, by now you know exactly who Lori Schiller is for me. Not good. I began to ask questions about what's going on with my money. And she's got no answers for me.
By now, you know exactly who this Lori Schiller character is. Wendy started asking questions about her money, and would you believe it? This woman had absolutely no answers. The audacity. Let me tell you, sweethearts, it's been an absolute roller coaster since then. We've seen Wendy go to rehab multiple times, get diagnosed with various illnesses, and deal with Kevin Hunter dragging her to court repeatedly to get his alimony payments resumed. And don't even get me started on this guardian, Sabrina Morsey, keeping Wendy away from her own family. The latest blow? They've declared her cognitively impaired and permanently incapacitated, a diagnosis that Wendy herself called out as a complete joke.
You know what I'm saying?
They said you're cognitively impaired and you're incapacitated.
Do I seem that way?
No.
You've been
God
calling,
damn it.
You've been calling me 5 times a day for the last 2 weeks. No, you don't seem that way.
And just to be,
How dare, excuse me, who I naturally am is who I naturally am, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes.
And my niece knows all about that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
and to be clear, you can't leave. Like, they won't allow you to leave or have visitors, family members or not. So you can't even leave and take a walk if you wanted to. Or
Now, hold on to your seats because what I'm about to reveal will shock you to your core. Wendy has been spilling some serious tea these past few days, but let me tell you about how Kevin Hunter and that production team were poisoning her for years. Yes, years. Anyone following Wendy's journey knows she was planning to return to her radio roots after divorcing Kevin. But honey, the entertainment industry is smaller than a high school cafeteria, and word got back to Kevin about Wendy's plans to ditch television for radio. Well, let me tell you, Kevin was not about to let his gravy train leave the station. So what did he do? He hatched this diabolical plan with production to keep Wendy medicated, just enough so she could still show up and do the show. And the way they did it? Through her tea, darlings. Yes, you heard that right. Her daily cup of tea. Now, darlings, let me paint this picture for you. Every single day when Wendy would take her seat in that iconic purple chair, she'd put her own tea bag in her cup, but, and this is the crucial part, she wasn't the one adding the hot water. That's how they were slipping things into her drink. I'm telling you right now, whoever was responsible for putting that hot water in her cup needs to come forward because they were being used as a pawn in this horrible game. Whatever they were allegedly putting in her cup started causing side effects, and that's why our girl started acting strange on set. Remember all those times she seemed out of it and that infamous fall when she was wearing that green suit? Well, now we know what was really going on behind the scenes. Do you realize what this means? Kevin and the production team had been manipulating Wendy for years. Their plan was crystal clear. Keep her medicated as long as possible, use her until they couldn't anymore, and then discard her when she was no longer useful. I know this sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, but honey, we've seen enough in Hollywood to know that nothing is too far-fetched. Think about it. How many times have we seen stars being used by the elites and then mysteriously disappearing in some bizarre accident? It happens all the time, right under our noses. So should we really be shocked that Wendy was a target? That they allegedly drugged her to keep her working? And let's talk about Kevin Hunter. He didn't just know about it, he orchestrated the whole thing. Even his mistress Sharina Hudson allegedly knew Wendy was being drugged by production. According to reports, the production team is also behind Wendy being placed under guardianship, and all this back and forth drama Kevin's been having in court. It's all theatrics, darling. He's secretly working with them. You know what's really sending chills down my spine? Wendy watchers are saying that in some episodes, she actually called out her team. She asked if they'd put something in her tea, and reportedly even said something like, "If you're going to put a pill in my tea, at least stir it well so I can't see the residue. I'm not drinking that." The pieces are finally falling into place. And here's what's keeping me up at night. What about Norman and Susan? Did they know what was happening? I'm dying to see them do an interview addressing these allegations. And let's not forget about that Wendy producer who mysteriously self-deleted after she left the show. They claimed it was because he stole from the budget, but something feels off about that whole story. What if he was about to spill the real tea? And remember that time there was a wellness check at Wendy's house because Kevin was allegedly poisoning her? What if that wasn't just a random accusation? Listen up, because this is where things get even more intense. Wendy is finally taking back control of her narrative. In these past few days, she's been doing interviews, turning the tables on everyone who tried to silence her. Right now, she's been placed in what she calls a luxury prison, a care facility in New York. Can you believe they bring all her meals to her bed and control her medication? She's not even sure she needs half of what they're giving her. Here's what breaks my heart. Most people in that facility are in their 80s and 90s, and the ones who are Wendy's age or younger have serious health issues. But our girl, she's different, and she knows it.
Where the people are in their 90s and their 80s and their 70s, and even when people are 60 like me, hey, I'm sexy and gorgeous. You know, I am 60. Look, please, July 18th, 1964, honey. But look, these people, I don't care if they're 50 and 60, they have there's something wrong with these people here.
Get this, Wendy can't even receive phone calls. No laptop, no iPad, just sitting in her room day after day. It's like they're keeping her in isolation. Her family is beside themselves with worry, and they've been screaming about this since the guardianship started. A source close to the situation just spilled that Wendy is under such strict control she barely has any contact with the outside world. Her relatives are getting louder and more frustrated, challenging every rule they can. Can you blame them? They just want to see their Wendy, take her shopping, grab some ice cream, spend quality time with her. The fact that they can't even check on her properly is tearing them apart. There's this heavy cloud of guilt hanging over the family. They feel terrible that things have gotten this bad, and they're desperate to do more. But here's the cruel part. Their hands are tied until the courts decide to change things. All they can do is pray for change. And honey, they're praying hard. I know some of you are wondering why the family hasn't done more to help Wendy, but let me tell you something. It's not as simple as it looks. Like Wendy said herself, the system is completely messed up. They can't just whisk her away without facing serious consequences.
This system is broken. You know, that this system that I'm in, this system has falsified, a lot. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
They said you're cognitively impaired and you're incapacitated.
Do I seem that way?
No.
You've been calling me 5 times a day for the last 2 weeks. No, you don't seem that way.
The family recently released this heartfelt statement about Wendy's guardianship and her journey to reclaim her self-determination. Their main priority? Making sure Wendy's best interests are protected and that she can regain control over her own life and decisions. The family spoke about Wendy with such love, calling her an extraordinary person who's inspired countless people through her career and personal strength. They're fighting for her right to live with dignity and make her own choices, free from anyone trying to control her. It is our firm belief that she deserves the opportunity to live with dignity and make her own choices free from undue influence, they declared. While they acknowledge that the legal process is complicated, they're committed to making sure Wendy's voice is heard. They're so grateful for all the support from her fans, though they've asked for privacy during this difficult time. But the family isn't just talking, they're taking action. Alex Finney created a GoFundMe page to help Wendy, hoping to raise $50,000 for legal fees and to help her move out of that wellness facility. The heartbreaking GoFundMe message explains how Wendy has been unfairly placed under guardianship and labeled as incapacitated despite her fierce determination to live independently. This guardian they assigned to her, they've cut off all her connections with friends and family, leaving our girl without the support system she desperately needs. Being isolated in New York is wearing her down, making it harder and harder for her to stay strong. All Wendy wants is to move to Miami to be with her family, Alex, her son, and her father. But can you believe she's not even sure if she'll be allowed to fly down for her dad's 94th birthday? She's calling this guardian that person who is holding her hostage. And honestly, can you blame her? I'm just relieved that Wendy is still able to speak up and expose all this madness. And to think that Kevin Hunter might be partly responsible for what's happening to her, it's absolutely insane. But it makes you wonder, is he profiting from Wendy's situation? Or maybe he's fighting Sabrina in court because the people he was working with don't need him anymore and threw him under the bus? Here's what I know for sure. Wendy is in a legally delicate situation where she has to be careful about what she says. That's probably why she had Alex with her during the Breakfast Club interview to help explain things. But let's not forget, Wendy is one smart cookie, and she'll find a way to expose everything, including how she was allegedly being poisoned for years. Personally, I'm absolutely disgusted at the thought that Kevin might have intentionally drugged her, allegedly with the help of production. The whole thing makes my skin crawl, but honey, you know what they say. The truth always comes out, and when it does, it's going to be explosive. What do you think about this whole Wendy situation? Because I have to tell you, this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I have a feeling there's so much more yet to come out. The entertainment industry can be dark, darlings, but this is on another level entirely.